Welcome, Dragon Knights, to another episode of Which is Better. Today we're going to bring you the Metal Gear Solid franchise versus the Splinter Cell franchise. Both of these games have changed the way we look at stealth gaming, and they've done a pretty good job with it. One is pretty much from Japan, and the other one's right here from the good old United States with Tom Clancy. But both have brought some certain things to the franchise that have made the franchise better. And then there's some things that both games have that people don't really enjoy too much. First, we're going to look at the Metal Gear Solid franchise. This game changed everything when it first came out on Nintendo all the way up into where it is now on multi-platforms like with the PS4, Xbox One, and the old gen systems. These games made you think. It had a great story to go with it, even though at times it can be very fucking confusing. Real confusing trying to figure out if you're playing as the real dude or if you're playing as a clone. But it was good. It made you think of how you went into situations. Like, most of the time it wanted you to sneak around and do certain things. It didn't want you to go for that straight up attack and start just whooping everybody's ass. Not at all. And it made you think in certain bosses. Like when you fought Psycho, for instance, where you had to literally unplug your controller and plug it into the second port just to keep fighting this dude. And then when Metal Gear Solid 4 came out, I don't know if it was just y'all or me, but that game kind of started freaking me out a little bit. Like, for instance, when it got to a certain point, Otagon calls you up and he's like, hey, this is the part of the game that we need to switch to disc. And I'm sitting here, and I was overseas at the time, and I was like, are you kidding me? I don't have another disc. This is the only one I got. And then he comes back and he goes, oh yeah, forgot to say, we're on Blu-ray now. We can hold more storage and we don't need more disc. And I was pretty much like, you know what? Fuck you, Metal Gear. Fuck you. And then when you fight Psycho again in the same game, your body stops moving. You're like, okay, what do I do? And it's like, oh, let's go back to the first one. You know, let's change the controller setting and put it on 2. And then, of course, he comes back over the radio saying, hey, we don't have cables, so I don't know what you're doing. And those things made Metal Gear great. The little side things here and there. That's what made Metal Gear Solid great. On the downside, though, to the Metal Gear franchise is the fact that the story, it made it confusing sometimes. Like I said earlier, it's like, are we playing as the real dude or are we playing as a clone? I mean, who are we playing as? But hey, no one really cares about that so much. The other things a lot of people don't like about the Metal Gear franchise is the fact that there are way too many cutscenes. It's like you get done with a cutscene, then you're going to go around for a little bit, and then you're right back into another cutscene. A lot of people don't like that. It kind of sets up the story, and they make it really, really beautiful when they do it. Just showing the graphics that these people do. But those are some of the good and bad things about the Metal Gear Solid franchise. Now we're going to look at the Splinter Cell franchise. This one came after the Metal Gear, but it made it where you had a choice. You had a choice to either sneak around, like sneak around places, or run and gun and start fucking shit up. They also were the ones to bring in the multiplayer aspects with like Spies versus Mercs or co-op. They redid that for the stealth genre and it worked for them. But again, the story kind of was high and low. Some games were good, some games were horrible. Blacklist was the best Splinter Cell in my opinion. I really liked playing that one. It was one of the only Splinter Cells I actually finished. But some of the weird things about this franchise that a lot of people don't like is the fact that when you do have to do stealth missions, if you get caught, like in certain missions, if you get caught, that's it. You gotta start all over again. Not like the Metal Gear franchise where if you get caught, you run, you hide under a cardboard box. But to both of them, each are their own. Splinter Cell did what they did great. Sitting there going around, letting you play the way you want to play it. Like I said, either run a gun, or you can just sit there and hide in the shadows with your bright green lights on the back of your head. But it's worked for them, and hopefully we'll see another Splinter Cell game on these next gens. Metal Gear's already there with their Ground Zero, which has gotten some praise and some negative to it. The praise is that the game looks beautiful for Ground Zero. The negative is that it can be done in 10 minutes if you wanted to. But that's today's which is better. You tell us which one you think is better, the Metal Gear franchise or the Splinter Cell franchise. This is your boy Swinny here from Dragon Gaming and News. Peace out.